شيخنا, may we begin inshallah. طيب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Respected brothers and sisters, welcome to our weekly dars on Mondays on the topic of usul al-thalatha or thalathat al-usul, the three fundamental principles. And alhamdulillah, we have reached our 17th lesson with our honorable Shaykh Salem Al Amry. As we always announce, please keep your questions until question time. You may send it in advance as well, no problem. However, verbal questions, we will open up the floors, inshallah, in the second hour of the dars. You are welcome to ask your questions verbally. To do that, you must be on our Zoom platform. And also you are welcome to write in your questions on the chat sections. Those brothers and sisters who are joining us on Facebook and YouTube, we only take questions on our Zoom platform, but you're more than welcome to join us and benefit from those platforms of Facebook and YouTube. Without any further delay, فليتفضل مشكورا فضيلة الشيخ الحبيب شيخ سالم العمري.
بارك الله فيك, جزاك الله خيرا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد, فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, today is the class in the three fundamentals, of the Tawheed, this beautiful book by Shaykh al-Mujaddid, Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah ta'ala. And we are discussing the issue of Ma'rifatul Deen bil Adillah, knowing the Deen through proofs and evidence. And how to understand the dalil, and what are the methods or the tools that will enable you to understand the dalil. And the rulings in the Sharia are only 5 rulings: the haram, the halal, the makruh, the masnoon, the mandub. Masnoon is the mandub, and the mubah. So we covered the indicators which will tell you that this text, the instruction in this text, it is for wujub, obligation. So this particular instruction is obligatory. That's the wajib. Then we talked about the muharram or the haram, the prohibited, and the indicators that will tell you how you will know that this text and what the text says is haram. So today, inshallah, we will continue talking about the remaining 3. The recommended, al-mustahab. What is the recommended? What is mustahab? Mustahab, mandub. The mustahab or the mandub or the masnoon, these are different names for the same thing. You should get used to such terminologies. So the Usuliyun, the scholars of the Usul, they defined it as هو طلب الفعل لا على سبيل الإلزام والحتم. هو طلب الفعل لا على سبيل الإلزام والحتم. The meaning, the mandub or the recommended, the masnoon, the mustahab, its definition is when the lawgiver asks the servant, the worshipper, to do an act of worship without making it obligatory. So the lawgiver invites you to do a particular action, act of worship, without telling you that it is obligatory. He recommends you to do an action, righteous deed, without making it obligatory. And now you should know, how do you know that this is obligatory? Go back to the indicators by which you will know that the evidence here necessitates obligation. So when the text just asking you to do something without making it obligatory, then it is recommended. Yes, the lawgiver asks you to do this, but without making it obligatory upon you. He encourages you to do it without making it obligatory. So that is the mustahab or the recommended. The indicators of recognizing the mustahab, the mandub, the masnoon, there are also indicators. Among these indicators, I hope that you are taking notes. Among these indicators, that the worshipper is encouraged to do it. So there is invitation from the lawgiver inviting the worshipper, the servant, to do this thing, this particular act. So there is encouragement. So encouraging the worshipper to do it without making it obligatory, without mentioning any sign that will convey that it is obligatory. It is just encourage. It encourages you, invites you to do it. For example, the Prophet ﷺ, he said regarding the Quran and mastering its recitation and learning it. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. رواه البخاري. خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. Here, Allah is not commanding you, but He is mentioning to you the virtue. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, the best amongst you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches it. So now, to master and to teach, it is highly recommended. And the reward is so great. And those who have dedicated their life to teaching the Quran, learning the Quran and teaching it, they are the best among us. The best. خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. The best amongst you is the one who learns the Quran and then he sits teaching it, seeking by that Allah's face, seeking by that Allah's pleasure and reward. Not fame, that he is a famous reciter. As you can see, some reciters, what they are doing. And the people are just enjoying the voice without reflecting and pondering upon the ayat. No khushu'. And you will hear them, Allah, Allah, Allah. Repeat, repeat. And many of these things the reciters are doing are bid'ahs. And the Shaykh Al Bakr Abu Zayd, rahimahullah ta'ala, has written a small booklet about the bid'ahs, the innovations of the reciters. I don't know if it is in English or not, but it is in Arabic. But the one, or nowadays a new bid'ah has emerged, applying the musical meters and the musical ladder to the recitation. This is a new bid'ah. That's why Shaykh Ma'sarawi, Hafidahullah, and Shaykh I remember his name, they're saying, what is this? This is not the way the Quran was taught, and this is not the way we've been taught, etc. So here in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. The best amongst you is the one who learns the Quran from the mashayikh, through the isnad, and then he sits in his masjid teaching the people the Quran. So here, the lawgiver is encouraging us to learn the Quran and to teach it. So it is recommended. Recommended. Also, another hadith in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ said, اقرأوا القرآن فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه. So this is Abu Umama radiallahu anhu is narrating this hadith. اقرأوا القرآن فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه. So Abu Umama radiallahu anhu said, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, read the Quran, read it. For it will come as an intercessor for its reciters on the day of resurrection. Yes, I remember now the Shaykh Ma'sarawi and Dr. Ayman Suwaid, Hafidahumullah ta'ala. So here, the Prophet ﷺ is saying, read the Quran, read it. For it will come on the day of resurrection as an intercessor for its reciters on the day of resurrection. So this is also here another incentive to read the Book of Allah. So it is highly recommended to read the Book of Allah daily. And you finish one yuzu every day, so that you finish the entire Quran at least once per month. So the Quran will come on the day of resurrection as intercessor for you. Also, he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in Sahih Muslim, and also the previous hadith in Sahih Muslim, he said, يؤتى يوم القيامة بالقرآن وأهله الذين كانوا يعملون به في الدنيا تقدمه سورة البقرة وآل عمران تحاجان عن صاحبهما. So Nawas ibn Sab'an, he said, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, so these all are text encouraging you. So this is all these acts are recommended, mustahab. So he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran and its people, that is, those who read it, who applied it. That is the most important thing. It's not only you read it. Okay? You apply it in your life. The Quran tells you, don't do this, alas, don't do it. This is haram, this is haram. That's why Ibn Mas'ud, he said, when you read the Quran and you come across Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, pay attention. Allah is going to tell you something. Either to do something, or refrain from doing something, or mentioning to you the reward of the righteous, or the punishment of the sinners. So when you hear Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, pay attention to it. So the Quran and people who applied it will be brought on the day of resurrection, preceded with Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al Imran. That's why it is highly recommended to memorize these two surahs, Baqarah and Al Imran. Arguing on behalf of those who applied them. So you memorize these two surahs and you implemented whatever they indicate and the instructions they contain, then these two surahs will defend and argue on your behalf on the day of resurrection. This shows the virtues of learning and memorizing the Book of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Also he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, الذي يقرأ القرآن وهو ماهر به مع السفرة الكرام البررة، والذي يقرأ القرآن ويتتعتع فيه وهو عليه شاق له أجران متفق عليه. The Prophet ﷺ said, the one who is proficient in the recitation of the Quran will be with the honorable and obedient scribes, the angels. And he who recites the Quran and finds it difficult to recite, doing his best to recite it in the best way possible will have two rewards. So the one who is an expert and he is so proficient in reciting the Quran will be with the Malaika. مع السفرة الكرام البررة, with the honorable and obedient scribes. And the one who recites the Quran with difficulty, he is articulating the letters with difficulty. He or she. Always keep this in mind, my dear brothers and sisters. When any divine instruction in the Quran or the Sunnah, it is meant for both men and women. Men and women. No difference at all. If there is any exemption or any exception, Allah mentions it. Without mentioning the exception, it is applicable for all, men and women, at all, together. And he who recites the Quran and finds it difficult to recite, he will be rewarded twice. Reward for the recitation, and the second reward for the effort he is putting, he or she. So this is the first indicator. The lawgiver is encouraging you to do these things without telling you that they are obligatory. So they are not obligatory, but they are recommended. Another indicator, my dear brothers and sisters, mentioning the reward of such an act to motivate the worshipper to do it. It gives you the reward. It mentions the ajr, the reward. If you do this, this is what will happen to you. So this is also another indicator by which we will conclude that this instruction is mustahab, or this injunction is recommended. So mentioning the reward of such an act, if you do this, this is what will happen, you will get this, and that is to motivate us, the servant, the worshippers, to do it. For example, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the virtue of building masajids. He said, "Man bana masjidan lillahi, bana Allahu lahu fil jannati mithlahu." See, here is the incentive. The reward is mentioned. Whoever builds a masjid for Allah, mosque for Allah, Allah will build for him a house like it in paradise. A house like it in paradise. This is in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. So in this hadith, it's not saying it is obligatory to build a masjid, but it's telling you the reward if you do that. The great reward. You build a masjid, Allah will build for you a house like that masjid in the Jannah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. And here I would like also to remind my brothers and sisters, Muslims they have fallen into something that the Prophet ﷺ warned against. And that is to decorate the masjid and spend a lot of money for the decoration, instead of making the masjid simple and plain. They spend a lot of money doing only on the decoration. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ warned us against. He said, إِذَا زَخْرَفْتُم مَسَاجِدَكُمْ وَحَلَّيْتُم مَصَاحِفَكُمْ فَالدَّمَارُ عَلَيْكُمْ. It's authentic hadith. If you decorate your masjid, when you go inside, everything distracts your concentration, distracts your khushu'. Wherever you look, and the chandeliers and the lights and everything is making you to lose khushu' in the salah. So that is what the Prophet ﷺ warned us against. زَخْرَفَتُمْ مَسَاجِدَكُمْ. Believe me, the cost of the decoration will build many masjids in many Muslim countries, poor countries. Only that. So here when the Prophet ﷺ is talking, so he said, إِذَا زَخْرَفْتُمْ مَسَاجِدَكُمْ وَحَلَّيْتُمْ مَصَاحِفَكُمْ. Also, you make the Quran, also you decorate the Quran. Okay? And you write it maybe in with gold, water of gold, or whatever. And many mushaf, they are like that. وَحَلَّيْتُمْ مَصَاحِفَكُمْ. So you beautify the mushaf and you apply adornment to it. فَالدَّمَارُ عَلَيْكُمْ. Then destruction is due to happen. So the Prophet ﷺ is telling you, simple masjid, even if it's small in size. Whoever builds a mosque for Allah, مَنْ بَنَى لِلَّهِ مَسْجِدًا بَنَى اللَّهُ لَهُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ مِثْلَهُ. Allah will build for him a house like it in the Jannah, in paradise. So here, the reward is mentioned, which means it is recommended. Because Allah is not commanding you, telling you that if you don't build the masjid, you are sinful. No. Also, the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, which is in muttafaqun alayh, agreed upon, reported by Sahl ibn Sa'd radiyallahu anhu, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من يضمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين رجليه أضمن له الجنة. The meaning, whoever gives me a guarantee to safeguard what is between his jaws, the upper jaw and the lower one, and what is between his legs, the parted part, I shall guarantee him Jannah. So here the reward is mentioned, the Jannah. Which means if you safeguard your tongue from indulging into the backbiting and slandering, of course, backbiting and slandering is haram. But here the Prophet ﷺ is mentioning the reward to encourage you to refrain from committing such deeds, like the riba and the namima and the zina. And of course, the same evidence also, you'll find the ulama also used it as well as for the prohibited, because these two things, the backbitings and the zina, are mentioned in separate proofs and separate texts. But here, only that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning the reward. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, أَضْمَنُ لَهُ الْجَنَّةِ. So it is highly recommended to control your tongue and to have the iffah, modesty, and you control your tongue and stop it from committing backbiting and slandering. Another indicator, my dear brothers and sisters, which tell us explicitly that this particular instruction or teaching is only recommended. Remember, when we talk about the wajib, the obligatory, that if there is a command, do it, then it is obligatory. And that is established rule. In the absence, if there is a command, explicit command, instruction, then that entails obligation. Providing there is no other sign in the text by which we can say, no, here the text doesn't mean, it doesn't necessitate obligation, because of this key word in the text. There's a key word which the ulama refer to as the qarina. The qarina. So the qarina, there's a key word in the text, tells you that here the instruction does not necessitate or entail obligation. In the absence of the qarina, there is no qarina, then the text needs to be rendered for the wujub and understood for wujub, for obligation. That it necessitates that this instruction, it is obligatory to be carried out. For example, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Sallu qabla al-maghrib." See, sallu, a command. Sallu, pray before maghrib. Sallu qabla al-maghrib. Sallu qabla al-maghrib. ثم قال في الثالثة لمن شاء كراهية أن يتخذها الناس سنة. رواه البخاري. See here, the Prophet ﷺ is saying, pray before maghrib. Pray before maghrib. And the third time he said, if you wish. So he said, pray before maghrib. Pray before maghrib. And then he said at the third time, whoever wishes to pray. He said so. Why did he say that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He said so because he did not like the people to take it as sunnah, reported by Al-Bukhari. That means sunnah mu'akkada. Or take it also as obligatory. Because as he kept quiet, it's a command. Sallu, sallu, sallu. So he's commanding us. So out of fear that people might think it is obligatory, he said, if you wish. So this word, if you wish, made it clear. This is qarina. This is a key word in the text. Made it very clear that now this is only recommended. It is recommended to pray. It's nice, it's good, permissible, but it's not obligatory to pray before the Maghrib. After the Adhan and before starting the Fard, you pray 2 rakats. And the Sahaba used to do that. So much so that if a stranger comes, he would think that they already prayed Maghrib when they were just praying these 2 rak'ahs recommended. So here, when the Prophet ﷺ said, Liman sha, whoever wishes to do that, this word, underline it, which is a key word, which is the qarina, made the text or to be understood that it is here, this command only for recommendation, and it's not obligatory. I hope that you are following, my dear brothers and sisters. Another indicator about the mustahab the acts of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet's acts, the Prophet's actions of worship, the acts of worship, without any explicit evidence saying that they are obligatory, should be taken only as recommended acts. So the mere acts of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet did that. And he did not command us explicitly to do these things. Then his acts or his sunnah and these acts which he did, they only indicate that these acts are recommended, mustahab. Because had they been fard, he would have said so, and he would have mentioned that. Since he did not mention that they are obligatory, and he merely just did these things, then that is just mustahab. So remember the acts of the Prophet ﷺ here, if there is no clear instruction and explicit command, they just mean something recommended. But if there is explicit evidence, then here it's different. When he said, pray as you have seen me praying, it's different now. So the acts of the Prophet ﷺ in the Salah, and he is telling us, pray as you have seen me pray. So we are obliged to pray as he has prayed, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. خُذُوا عَنِّي مَنَاسِكَكُمْ, on the day of Hajj. Learn from me. Learn from me. So here there's a command. Learn your rituals from me. But in the absence of explicit instruction, just he did this, the Prophet ﷺ, that doesn't mean it is obligatory. It's a very important thing to understand. For example, fasting Monday and Thursday. Aisha radiallahu anha, Rabi'a ibn al-Ghaz radiallahu anhu asked Aisha radiallahu anha about the fast of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she said, فقالت كان يتحرى صيام الاثنين والخميس. Authentic hadith in Ibn Majah. She said he used to make sure he fasted on Mondays and Thursdays. Now, fasting on Monday and Thursday, is it fard? Is it obligatory? No. 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 What is obligatory? Only the fast of Ramadan. And remember the hadith of the Arabi. When he came and asked the Prophet ﷺ to teach him, he said 5 prayers a day. He said, any more? He said, no, only 5 prayers. You pray 5 times a day. Unless you want to make nafil optional, that is up to you. But what is obligatory? Only 5 prayers. 5 salawat fil yawm wal layla. And fasting Ramadan, only 1 month. Anything else? No. Unless you want to make extra, and that will be nafil and optional, and you will be rewarded. But what is obligatory is only Ramadan. The Hajj, only once a lifetime, etc. So here fasting Thursday and Monday, it's recommended, mustahab. The same thing, the fasting the white days, 13, 14, and 15th of each lunar month, mustahab. Fasting Ashura, mustahab. Fasting the day of Arafah, mustahab. All these are recommended. So these are indicators about the mustahab. Allah is inviting you, encouraging you, that is mustahab. Allah mentioning the reward to motivate you, that is mustahab. There is qarina in the text, then it is mustahab, like pray before Maghrib, pray before Maghrib. And the acts of the Prophet ﷺ, if there is no explicit evidence telling us that this particular act is obligatory upon all of us to do, then it is recommended. Like fasting Ashura, Monday, Thursday, Arafah, etc. The 6 days of Shawwal, all these things. Now the makruh, the dislike. The dislike, it is something needs to be avoided. And if you avoid it, you will be rewarded. But if you commit it, you'll not be punished. But it's better you avoid it. Because if you get use of doing the dislike, the makruh, then this might make it become for you a habit. And then committing the haram will become easy. So that's why you have to be strict with yourself regarding the disliked acts and avoid the makruh. For example, the Prophet ﷺ said, أنا زعيم ببيت في ربض الجنة لمن ترك المراء وإن كان محقا، وبيت في وسط الجنة لمن ترك الكذب وإن كان مازحا، وبيت في أعلى الجنة لمن حسن خلقه أو حسن خلقه. رواه أبو داود and حسنه الألباني. Shaykh Albani considered it authentic, Hasan Hadith. The meaning, the Prophet ﷺ said, I guarantee a house in the surroundings of paradise for a man who avoids quarreling, even if he were in the right, if he were correct. A house in the middle of paradise for a man who avoids lying, even if he were joking. And a house in the upper part of the paradise for a man who has made his character good. Outstanding character, good manners. So here, to leave the argument, or to get indulged in fruitless argument, it is makruh, should not. Because the argument will just make the situation get worse. So even if you have the truth, say, I don't want to miss that house in the Jannah. I don't want to miss it. Okay? So I quit. I will not continue arguing. I guarantee a house in the surroundings of the Jannah for a man who avoids quarreling, even if he were in the right, even if he were correct, even if he has the right on his side, the haqq with him. Because it is just useless conversation, fruitless. So no need to waste time. Also, the Prophet ﷺ said, من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. حديث حسن رواه الترمذي. The Prophet ﷺ said, it is from the excellence of a believer's Islam that he should shun that which is of no concern to him. Many people, my dear brothers and sisters, are very inquisitive. They put their nose in it. They interfere in everything. Mind your own business. من حسن الإسلام المرء ترك ما لا يعنيه. Something doesn't concern you. Why you want to be involved? Why? So this hadith tells you it is from the excellence, noble quality to have. Excellence of a believer's Islam, a sign of the excellence of one's Islam, that he should shun, avoid that which is of no concern to him. Of no concern to him. Focus on what concerns you. That's it. Mind your own business. Think about your own. Mend your own affairs. Reform your character. Reform your manners. Blame yourself. Look into yourself. One of the mashayikh, he said, when you are preaching and talking to the people and you are saying this, you are using index finger. Only one. But see the others, They are pointing towards you. They are pointing the other fingers towards you. Which means what? Take care of yourself also. Yes, we remind each other, we advise each other, but we should not ignore ourselves. So the things that they don't concern you, keep them aside. Keep them aside. Many people, they have this sickness. Just hours on the net. Did you hear? So-and-so said this. Did you hear? So-and-so refuted him. No, then he refuted him. What is this? You waste your time, you waste your life. X says this, Y says this. Allah will not ask me about X and Y. Allah will not ask me. Allah will never ask me. Allah will ask me if I say anything about X or anything about Y. Then I will be in trouble. But if I don't, I mind my own business, I keep my mouth shut, locking my tongue within it, Allah will not ask me why you didn't talk. Allah will not ask me. Allah will ask me if I saw something haram, Allah's limits are trespassed. The limits are trespassed and crossed, and I didn't get angry for that. Yes, I'll be playing. But things I didn't know about, Allah will not question me. Allah will question me about my own actions. My own actions. So my dear brothers and sisters, keep this in mind. Don't be inquisitive. Get rid of this sickness. Get rid of wasting your time on the net, reading this one said this, this one said this, this one. Believe me, all these rebuttals, they make the heart hard, and they make your heart sick. And maybe Shaitan will step in and say, see how Muslims are fighting each other? And then he will start to put seeds of doubt in your mind about Islam. See? Islam is not correct. And many people, they went astray because of these things. Work on your iman, work on your heart, get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyone approaches you, did you hear this? You say, sorry, I don't want to hear. I have loads of sins. What I have is enough. What I have is enough. I don't want to take more. My sins are enough. Loads of sins I have. So I don't want to have more. So leave me alone. Barakallah fiik. So here, من حسن إسلام المرء ترك ما لا يعنيه. So being inquisitive and entertaining vain talks, it is disliked. Allah doesn't like that. Also, like eating the garlic. About something makruh, eating garlic. Eating garlic is not haram, but it is makruh. Prophet ﷺ said, من أكل ثوما أو بصلا فليعتزلنا أو فليعتزل مسجدنا. متفق عليه. في رواية المسلم من أكل البصل والثوم والكرات فلا يقربن مسجدنا فإن الملائكة تتأذى مما يتأذى منه بنو آدم. So here the Prophet ﷺ said, he who eats garlic or onion should keep away from us or from our masjid. This is the narration of Bukhari and Muslim. Imam Muslim also mentioned in another narration, he said, he who has eaten onion or garlic or leek, Quran, should not approach our masjid, because the angels are also offended by the strong smells that offend the children of Adam. The malaika, they get irritated by the bad smells. So you should not come to the masjid with bad smell. The same thing, the smell of the cigarette. Of course, smoking cigarette is haram, but also bad smell. So the malaika, they get irritated, offended, like the human beings, by the bad smell. So here it is makruh, disliked, to eat raw onion, raw, not cooked, raw, or raw garlic, or leek. If it is cooked, that's different, because the smell will not be there. So he who eats onion or garlic or leek should not approach our masjid. He should not come. Because the angels are also offended by the strong smells that offend the children of Adam. Not only the human beings will be irritated, also the malaika also get offended. So eating garlic or onion or anything similar that has bad smell is makruh, disliked. Then what remained, the final one, the halal, or the mubah, or the permissible. As a rule of thumb, everything Allah created for us, from among the foods, drinks, everything is halal. Everything. Unless it is mentioned otherwise. All types of food are halal. All types of drinks are halal. Except what Allah said, they are halal. Okay. Dead animals, Allah mentioned, haram. Alcohol, Allah mentioned, haram. Apart from that, any drink is halal for you. There's no need to say, what is the dalil that it is halal? No, it's the opposite. Al-aslu fil ashya' al-ibaha. The basic rule regarding the things that Allah made for us, they are halal. Unless they are mentioned otherwise. The opposite. Al-aslu fil ashya' al-ibaha. So foods are halal, drinks halal. When it comes to the ibadat, it's the opposite. Al-aslu fil ibadat al-tahrim. You cannot make any ibadah unless it is prescribed by the lawgiver, unless it is mentioned. Cannot keep inventing new ibadat into Islam. No. So the things that we eat, the eatables, drinkables, food, drinks, are halal. Allah says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, and the halal or the mubah, the permissible, the lawful, there is neither reward nor punishment. 50-50. You can take your dinner or you can sleep without taking your dinner. It is mubah. If you want to make the mubah act of worship, then change your niyyah. I take my dinner to gain strength to worship Allah. Then yes, you will get ajr. Because of the niyyah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah 96, وَحِلَّ لَكُمْ صَيْدُ الْبَحْرِ وَطَعَامُهُ مَتَاعًا لَكُمْ وَلِلسَّيَّارَةِ وحرم عليكم صيد البر ما دمتم حرما اتقوا الله الذي إليه تحشرون. The meaning, it is lawful for you to hunt and eat seafood. Seafood. So the seafood is halal. All seafood is halal. Unless a particular type of food or fish, it is proven that it is harmful, then you should not eat it. Otherwise, everything is halal. Whatever you see, you find on the shore, is halal for you. And the Sahaba, they found huge whale dead on the beach of Jeddah. The rib of the whale, when they erected it, a man passed under it while standing on his camel. Can you imagine? And the Sahaba, they ate, and they took the oil, and they took also the meat with them to Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ approved of that. So it is lawful for you to hunt and eat seafood as a provision for you and for travelers. Sayyara here doesn't mean cars, huh? Sayyara means here the travelers. But hunting on land is forbidden to you while on pilgrimage. You cannot hunt while you are in the state of ihram. Be mindful of Allah to whom you all be gathered. So Allah made everything halal for you. The seafood is halal for you. Also Allah said in Surah Al-Mulk, ayah 15, والذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه إليه النشور. He's the one who smooths out the earth for you. So move about in its regions and eat from his provisions. كلوا من رزقه. Whatever in the earth, كلوا, eat. It's halal for you. Green light. And to him is the resurrection of all. So everything is halal for you. Unless it is mentioned otherwise. If Allah wanted to tell you that this is haram, he mentions it. If it's not mentioned, al-asru bil ashya' al-ibaha. The basic rule, everything is permissible. Regarding the eatables, things that we can eat and things that we can drink. And the things that we can wear. Everything, all types of clothes, halal. Unless it is, for example, prohibited, like silk, natural silk for men, or these are known attires of the kuffar, and it has a religious notion, that's different. Otherwise, all types of clothes are halal. That's why there's nothing called Islamic dress. No, nothing like that. As long as the dress and the attire and the garment covers the awrah, that serves the purpose. As a matter of fact, the ulama, they said, one should wear in his country what the people are used to. So he looks like them. He looks like them. Also, Allah says in Surah Al-Jathiyah, Ayah 13, وَسَخَّرَ لَكُم مَّا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا مِّنْهُ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. He also subjected for you whatever is in the heavens and whatever is in the earth, all by His grace. Surely in this are signs for people who reflect. So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning His bounty. And He is telling us, He made all these things for us. He made taskhir. He made them under our sway of control. We control these things. He made them permissible for us. The animals to ride, to mount, take them as mounts, and also as source for food. وَسَخَّرَ لَكُم مَّا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا مِّنْهُ. He also subjected for you whatever is in the heavens and whatever is in the earth. Also Allah said in Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayah 168, يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. Subhanallah. See Allah's rahmah, see Allah's generosity. يا أيها الناس, O mankind, كلوا, eat. كلوا, eat. مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا. Eat from what is lawful and good on earth. All the things on earth are halal for you, if they are whole. But if they are not, I already mentioned to you. Things that I did not prohibit for you, they are halal. حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان, and do not follow Satan's footsteps. إنه لكم عدو مبين. He is truly your sworn enemy. open enemy, clear enemy, to avoid his tricks. So the mubah, the halal, my dear brothers and sisters, you cannot limit it. You cannot say these items are halal. You cannot. Everything is halal. The haram items can be limited, not the halal. Because Allah made everything halal. All the things, all the foods, all clothes, etc. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our knowledge in the deen, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us our faults and mistakes and ignorance, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, for your patience and attendance. Barakallahu feekum, jazakum Allah khaira. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Shaykhuna. Is it okay? We will take some questions, inshallah.
Inshallah, yes.
All right, we have a lot of questions, or some questions already in, inshallah. So we'll begin with those ones. And anyone else who would like to ask a question, please send through your questions, either written on the chats or if you want to ask verbal questions, you may, inshallah, raise your hands. Okay, we have Sadman Saqib and Asfa Parvez already raised their hands. Let's begin with them, inshallah. Sadman Saqib, go ahead, inshallah. Please ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair for the session. I have really two questions regarding the recitation of the Quran. So is it okay that if I recite Quran a little bit fast, is it possible or permissible? And another question is about the Islamic attire. Here in Bangladesh, the people who are practicing Deen, they always wear thobe and wear a topi, like something, and it is considered as Islamic attire. So, and many people who are wearing normal clothes. So, is it okay for a practicing brother to always wear a thobe or something like that?
Alhamdulillah. Regarding reading the Quran fast, the ulama, they mentioned the three types of or modes of reciting the Quran. There is the tahqiq, there is the tadwir, and there is the hadr. Okay. These are three types. Tahqiq, like al-Husari, rahimahullah, and the tadwir, another level, and the hadr, the first one, like al-Khayyat, rahimahullah. But at the same time, yes, you are reading fast, but you maintain the ahkam, the rules. If the rules are maintained and you are reading fast, hadr, it is permissible. But if you are not articulating the letters and swallowing some letters, then that is not allowed. Regarding the attire or the dress, wearing thobe, first of all, you cannot say this is the Islamic dress, or you say this is the Sunnah to dress, because the Prophet ﷺ, the way he dressed up, or the garments he wore the thobe, he wore the izar, as his people. So if you say, okay, I feel comfortable in the thobe, okay, that's fine. It is permissible. It is mubah, providing that this will not make you odd in the community. But if there are great number of people are wearing thobe, and the people are used to it, and no issue, that's fine, no problem. Is this clear to you?
Yes, Sheikh, Jazakallah khair.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Asfa Parvez, please unmute your mic.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I want to know whether this dua is authentic or not. Please tell me, Sheikh. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min khalilin makirin aynuhu tarani wa qalbuhu ir'ani irra'a hasanatan dafanaha wa irra'a sayyatan adha'aha.
I haven't come across something like this. Where did you read it? Always, my dear brothers and sisters, to make it easier for us and to help you, if you read something, mention the reference, and inshallah, I will check it for you. Next question, please.
Okay, Sheikh, the next question we have here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh, for sharing the beneficial knowledge with us. May Allah reward you immensely. I would like to know which one is correct way to recite Muhammad or Rasul Allah or Rasulullah.
In what context? If you are saying Muhammadun Rasulullah, if you, in this context, in this sentence, Muhammadun Rasulullah.
They've spelled out Muhammad or Rasul Allah, breaking it down into 4 words. Muhammad or Rasul Allah or Rasulullah.
No, you see.
Does it make a difference?
No, you see, in the Arabic, Muhammadun Rasulullah. Muhammadun is the mubtada, okay? And Rasulullah is the khabar, the predicate. So Muhammadun Rasulullah.
Okay, inshallah. The next question we have here is Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is consuming nutmeg haram?
What is that?
It is a sort of a...
I think this is Yozat al-Hind, or Tib al-Hind. It's a type of nut, is it?
Josa al-Talib, al-Tayyib.
Yozat al-Tib, Yozat al-Tib.
Yes.
I will check this one, inshallah. Because is it really, does it intoxicate or doesn't it? So I will check it, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah reward Sheikh with the best of rewards. My question, I have a friend that is into interest-generated multi-purpose cooperative society. I visited her at the time she came back from the cooperative AGM, and she came with a drink which she served me. I drank it and later had the feeling that I took haram. What should I do in this context because I'm so worried? Jazakallahu khair.
The ulama, they say regarding the food of someone whose income is not purely halal. So if it is 100% haram, then you should not drink or should not eat. But if most of it is halal, part of it, and that food or what is giving is from the halal, because that's what he feeds his children and his family, then that's okay. This is when you want to, if the one who invited you is a Muslim and he is doing haram and his income is not purely halal. So to send the message to him and to make him wake up, say, sorry, Akhi, I cannot drink, I cannot eat because of your income. But if the one who invited you is a non-Muslim, okay, that's different, because the Prophet ﷺ, when he was invited by the Jew, and we know what is their job, he accepted the invitation of the Jew. And he ate, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is this clear to the questioner?
Yes, inshallah, Sheikh, it is clear. We have another question here. Is does Sunnah come under Mustahab?
What again?
Does Sunnah come under the Mustahab?
Yes. It's called Masnoon. The Masnoon, the Mustahab, this Mandub, these are different names. So the Sunnah, the Masnoon, the Sunan, they come under the Mustahab. Yes.
Barakallahu feek, Sheikh. That was our final question for today. If you'd like to conclude today's session, inshallah, Jazakallahu khairan.
Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullah khair. So today, alhamdulillah, we covered the 5 rulings and how to understand the text. I hope now, inshallah, you'll be able to understand the text when you read it. And when you read the dalil, so these tools, inshallah, will help you to understand the evidence and the dalil. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our knowledge in the deen, and may Allah reward all of you for your dedication, for your patience, for your sincerity, and may Allah reward the organizers immensely, bless their efforts. Ameen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve you all and protect you all till we meet, inshallah, in our coming class. I leave you in Allah's company and protection. Fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.